Hello everybody and welcome back to Marathon. And today we are going to be, there's going to be this idea introduced, concept in this part that I sort of hinted at a couple walkthrough parts back that we were going to be introduced to it, but we are finally being introduced to this idea. So let's figure out what this is.
I have received a preliminary report from some members of the science staff who have finished post-mortem examinations on 3 kinds of aliens. They report that by modern genealogical stand different aliens belong to different species. I have been collecting as much information as I can and will give you a report shortly. I have established contact with Durandal for the first time since the attack. He seems to have sustained less damage than I had previously suspected. Durandal reports that he has been in communication with the aliens. He says that the aliens behind the invasion call themselves the P4, and that the ones attacking the computer net are called SPHT. But he was reluctant to share the details of his communication and I cannot understand this. Your mission here is rather simple. You must insert the circuits in the defense control terminals. This is your current location. There is a shield recharge in the access control room. Here is a supply room with a large supply of ammunition and weapons. You should stop in this room. This is the Defense Control Center. Hopefully, the new control circuits will work. Place one in the terminal at this location. This is where to place a second one. This is the final location. Good luck.
Okay, so if we actually look at our map, we don't have much on our map right now. But we're going to be accessing or activating some droids today. Jesus Christ. Ah, fuck you. There we go. And that's basically what we're doing in this part. Ah, fuck you. Come on. Ah, there we go. There we go. Didn't want to use my ammo on those guys. Probably should be, but on this area, this thing is a bitch to do. Because this is an area where, okay, well, if you go over here, you'll notice, oh boy, crushy platforms. What do I do? What do I do? I can't go back. I can't go back. Secret door. So, this is the point of Marathon, to literally make you fucking miserable. Like, this is the point of Marathon, is to make you miserable, that's it. There's a lot of bullshit that just happens, like even that was kind of bullshitty to do. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it does a bunch of crap to you. Here I think is some ammo. Yes, this is the, ammo area with some health. Go ahead and grab this. And here's a save point. It's definitely good. So this is the armory that Leela was talking about. I should also mention that pretty much the only... Leela is probably my favorite character of all of the characters in this game. You'll probably understand later why, but... I mean, she doesn't have much of a character, but she has one trait above all others that is more what I consider the most important trait of a person entirely, so that's why. Shit, Jesus Christ. Anyways, yeah, you'll figure that out later. Probably by Marathon to Durandal, you'll hear why. I like her quite a lot. So let's go ahead and move on and get these switches pulled, because we have to push a bunch of switches and buttons through this level, because that's what Marathon basically is pushing a bunch of switches. Here is a terminal by Tycho.
Tycho Netseed Coordinates. Human. You must tell Leela. Brought here by Durandal. He has been rampant for years. Bernard Street. There is a way to delay the onset of the second stage, and he said this to control Durandal, and I am being assimilated.
So this is the first time you've been introduced to Tycho, and like I said before, there's 3 AIs on this ship. This like mile-long ship, and we've heard from only 2 of them now. We haven't heard technically from Durandal at all. And we've heard through Leela what has been happening with Durandal. Jesus Christ. More of those. Let me use my pistol because I'm pretty sure there's a guy over here. I'm just gonna go run past him. But and this next part over here, we should be getting pretty close to something important. Getting Let me go back this way a little bit. Ah, fuck you. Okay, is that all of you? Is that all of you? I'm gonna end up heading back to the health thing. Oh, here's health. Never mind. Alright, anyways. Oh. Hello there. Can I... Hi! So he did actually get alerted when I touched him. I was wondering if I was just gonna be able to stand right up against him in the back and he wasn't gonna notice me. But, yeah, so this is a terminal that is very important that I'm going to have to talk about.
Unauthorized access alarm 2521. Security reached 42 S34.492.95.79. Search heading Rampancy. Search found 264995 headings. Remove redundancies. File 1 of 1940237. It is a side effect of rampancy that AI generally become more aggressive and more difficult to affect by subterfuge. Thus, actually disassembling a rampant AI is quite dangerous. This was evident in the crash of Traxxas 4 in 2206. By the time that the rampancy of Traxxas was detected, he had already infiltrated 5 of the other AI on the Martian net. The only recourse for the Martians was to shut down the Martian planetary net. Even then, it took 2 full years to completely root out the damage that Traxxas had done, and the repercussions of the crash were seen for over 10 years after his rampancy had begun. Rampancy has been divided into 3 distinct stages. Each stage can take a different amount of time to develop, but the end result is a steady progression towards greater intellectual activity and an acceleration of destructive impulses. It is not clear whether these impulses are due to the growth of the AI psyche or simply a side effect of the new intellectual activity. Section abbreviated. The 3 stages were diagnosed shortly after the first rampancies were discovered on Earth in the latter part of the 21st century. The stages are titled after the primary emotional event of the AI during each stage. They are melancholia, anger, and jealousy. In general, rampancy is accelerated by outside stimuli. This was discovered early in cybertronics. The more a rampant AI is harassed or threatened, the more rapidly it becomes dangerous. Thus, most rampants are dealt with in one mighty attack in order to deny the AI time to grow or recover. There have been a few examples of this tactic not succeeding. In all of these cases, the rampant was never brought under control. Traxxas 4 is the most notable example. He was finally dealt with by a complete shutdown of his host net. Theoretically, testing rampancy should be easily accomplished in the laboratory, but in fact it has never successfully been attempted. The confinement of the laboratory makes it impossible for the developing rampant AI to survive. As the growing recursive programs expand with exponential vivacity, any limitation negatively hampers growth. Since rampant AI need a planetary-sized network of computers in order to grow, it is not feasible to expect anyone to sacrifice a world web just to test a theory. In the 250 years since rampancy first appeared in the EarthNet, the stable rampant AI, the holy grail of cybertronics, has never come close to fruition. Since no rampant has ever been controlled or turned to any useful purpose, it is the opinion of this writer and of the majority of the cybertronic community that all rampantes are a danger to cyberlife, liberty, and the pursuit of thrashedness.
James D. Miller, 2320, Life and Death of Intelligence. Unauthorized access alarm 2521. Security reached 42S 34.492.95.79.
Okay, so at this point in the game, we've now been introduced to the idea or concept of rampancy, which is a very important one in Marathon and in Halo. And I'm going to wind up talking a lot about rampancy in this series, because that's sort of the main concept of this series is rampancy. And there's a couple ideas around rampancy. And I'm going to, for the first game, I'm going to be talking about the effects of rampancy, which is what's defined in Marathon. In Marathon-02 Durandal, I'll be going into more closely the causes of rampancy, which isn't really defined in Marathon, but is defined in Halo. So I'll be blurring those two lines of insanity and godhood. Shit, I didn't mean to do that. And I will be essentially defining those a little bit more in depth as well. I'll be then talking about other stuff in Marathon Infinity, because Marathon Infinity I'm going to have to be talking about plenty of other things. So let's go ahead and save over here. And so rampancy I'm going to talk about a little bit right now. So there's melancholy, anger, and jealousy, which is also called sadness, anger, and envy by Cortana. But we'll talk about that later. But for now, you're going to need to know that that's the effects of rampancy, the general effects of rampancy. And then there's ultimately what happens after rampancy, which is something that we see in Marathon for the first time in this universe. And we see this idea, or this concept introduced of what happens after that. It's just very interesting. So, let's move on. We need to get these things pushed. And when... Oh, shit. Now, what's interesting is, for some reason, there's these turrets that are activated. Whoa. Hot. Okay, that was weird. But there's these turrets that are active here. And they shouldn't be actually technically active, because we have to activate them first. But, I'm gonna let these guys take care of them. Okay, so now we need to push this button over here, because that's what we need to do. Because it's Marathon, and you push buttons. But, shit. I did not know there are going to be this many guys down here. And the purple dudes have a lot of fucking health. They're really difficult to kill, actually. Oh, I can punch you. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. You're following me. Which means I can't go back, really. Okay, so here's a terminal from Leela.
I have summarized all of the information that I have gathered on the aliens so far. Begin report number 495,991. Phor are generally thinner and lighter than humans and are superbly adapted for low-gravity environments. Durandal told me that there are many clans of Phor, each physically distinct from each other, but my summary only includes 2 of them. Only 2 clans of the Phor have been examined. The fighter carries a shock staff, which is capable of attacking at different settings. The trooper is armored for vacuum conditions and carries a combination explosive and impact projectile weapon which is similar to your AR-75. The Phor seem to have enslaved a number of other races. The Hulk is an enormous and rather slow creature, but it is incredibly strong. The science report indicated that it had no body fat, and therefore had to be fed often to keep it active. One crew member reported seeing one of these creatures pointing to itself and mumbling Drinial right before it picked Johnny up by the shirt and crushed him against a pillar. The science staff had difficulty finding a good specimen of the SPHT, or compiler, to autopsy. The only specimen autopsied was almost completely destroyed, but it was obvious that the compilers are cyborgs of some kind. The biological component of the compiler is so closely linked to the machine that it could never survive without it. The compiler's actual body is very small, resembling closely a mammalian brain, except that the neurons are much finer and far more complex. End of report.
Okay, and this is more on the what these enemies actually are. Because she mentions how the compilers are essentially not biological, and they have a brain in them, essentially. A brain, that's it. A biological brain, the rest is not alive, essentially. So, we'll learn a lot about the compilers later in Marathon-04 Randall, when we'll learn a lot about the enemies, their history. But for now, we're just sort of going to be doing the ideas, the effects of Rampancy and Marathon 1. Shit. This is a little puzzle you gotta do. Okay, oh shit. Alright, fine. Got it. Alright, so, let's move through. Oh, shit. Well, that's not good. Okay, here is some buttons. There's a save point. And let's go ahead and flip the switches. That looks alright. Looks fine, actually. Okay, shit. Whatever. Fuck you. See, I fucking slid there, which really kind of made it sort of difficult to deal with that. Because the gravity in this game makes you slide like crazy, so that's sort of a hard thing. Oh, and here's some pressure platforms.
You have not completed your mission. You must replace all of the circuits. With every passing moment, the opportunity for us to counterattack is fading.
So we must continue on with the bullshit. Oh, for fuck's sake. God damn it. So these are like the... these are the control chips that need to be replaced. I'm moving back. Fuck it. Fuck it. There's one. Let's get our ammo reloaded. Okay. Essentially, reload our pistol. I sort of want a second pistol at this point. I don't think we technically have a second pistol in this game. Oh, you'll be getting one soon. Ah, fuck. Yeah, those guys, they do a lot of damage. Okay, and then here's the third. Okay, we got that one. Alright. Ah, fuck. Come on. Stupid door. Okay. Now we need to, wait for the crushy platforms to allow us to pass. Because, god damn it, they are, really crazy. So you gotta move in between these corners here. Okay.
Well done. I have detected defense drones activating all over the ship. Reports from security forces are jubilant. Now, the PHOR will encounter stiff resistance, and they will have to pay in blood for every move. The colony appears to be under attack. I detected 7 PHOR dropships entering the atmosphere only minutes ago. Trajectory analysis indicates that the ships were heading for the outskirts of the colony. Shortly thereafter, I lost communications with the colony. Something has come to my attention. I will inform you after you teleport. Teleport now.
Alright, so this is where the end of the level is, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. This has been MSF C.Home.